Number 4 ranked UFC welterweight Vicente the Silent Assassin Luque, who returns to action next month on the 16th of April. Vicente, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Hey man, it's great to have a talk with you, and everything's good. You know, training is going really well, and I'm excited for my next fight.
Is this a fight that excites you? This is obviously a rematch with Belal Muhammad, a guy who you knocked out in under 80 seconds the first time round. Is this a fight that does excite you second time round?
Yeah, it definitely does excite me because I think he has been looking great after I beat him, and he has evolved, improved. He's coming off a big win against a guy that beat me. So, you know, I think that's something interesting as well. We have different styles, and I think that's what we're gonna do inside the octagon. You know, test which style works best and who's gonna be the winner on this second match. And I think it's interesting also because their first fight was really quick, so we can't say much about that. You know, I think it's tricky for me. I cannot, you know, underestimate him, because if I do, that's where I'm gonna get in trouble.
That fight was on one of the most historic cards in MMA history, UFC 205. What do you remember about that fight week and the 80 seconds that played out in the cage?
I mean, it was an awesome opportunity to be there. It was a short notice fight, so I got the fight with 2 weeks, and I had no doubt in my mind. You know, I was definitely gonna accept it because it was the first New York card. I wanted to be there and to be a part of that. And I actually was able to be the first knockout in Madison Square Garden that time. So that was awesome. And it was just a special night for me. You know, was big fights. McGregor got the title against Eddie Alvarez. That was a big fight as well. And I think overall it was a great experience and definitely added a lot to my career.
I don't know if you remember the first time we spoke, but one of the questions I asked you was, which is your favorite finish in the UFC? And I think I may have said your favorite fight, because I think I remember you saying Brian Barberena. But then I told you that my favorite knockout of yours was the Belal Muhammad fight. It's funny how things work. What was it like when the UFC gave you this offer of this fight? Did it come as a surprise, or was it something that you had maybe expected down the line?
You know, I kind of expected it because before this fight happened, you know, and I got offered, many different things were possibilities. You know, after my last fight last year, we didn't know what was going to go on. We tried to make the fight against Nate Diaz. That didn't happen. Then, you know, Khamzat Chimaev appeared, and, you know, he's a big thing now. Everybody, like the UFC said, nobody wanted to fight him. And I actually got offered that fight to fight in London in the card that was last weekend and last or before last. So, you know, I did take that fight, but it ended up not working out, you know, and it was nothing official. They just asked me if I would take it. I said, yeah, but we never really worked out how it was going to go down. I didn't even know if it was going to be, you know, co-main event, main event, something like that. But it ended up not working out. And I was looking, you know, at the options. We had Masvidal with Colby. We had Gilbert probably was going to be set with Chimaev. That there were talks about that. There were talks about Leon with Kamaru. And I looked, you know, who's left for me? Well, the guy that is left for me, you know, is definitely going to be Belal. I'm not going to fight Gilbert. Everybody knows that. So that's not a fight that was an option. Chimaev didn't work out. And it made sense, you know, for me. I don't want to just wait and get a title fight. And if I wait, guys are going to go in front of me, you know. So I don't want to take that risk. I want to keep active, show my work. And I think against Belal, it's a great matchup because he's a really tough guy and he's coming off great win streak.
How do you prepare for someone that you've knocked out in under a minute and a half? What is the process of this rematch? Because you obviously, as you mentioned, you can't take too much away from the first victory. It was so short, but you do have a win over the guy. So how has preparation been, and what has the game plan been going in?
I think what I most focus on is thinking about this as a new fight. The only thing that I take from that first fight is I have the power to knock him out, you know, but then I need to connect the good shot. You know, I need to land it. So I never know if I'm going to land it. So I cannot take, you know, so much from that fight. I look at it as a new fight. I know that he has evolved, he has improved. And right now, on his mind is that same thing. He knows that I can hit him hard, so he's got to avoid that. And he has many tools to do that. He's a great wrestler, a great grappler. He showed it in his last fight against Thompson. And that's kind of what I'm getting ready for. Obviously, I'm not going to ignore his striking. He can go in there and try to do something. But I think that looking at it in a strategical way, I think that he would try to control me on the ground or on the fence and try to tire me, and then maybe look for a submission or just ground and pound and make his way to a decision. And that's what I want to, be ready for. If we go 5 rounds, I want to dominate him 5 rounds. And it's something that I'm used to. I'm used to guys trying to grapple me, trying not to strike against me. That's something natural because they know the danger that I have on my hands. That's why my grappling has been improving, and I have, been developing tools over there. So I think that I can threaten him, either standing or on the ground. And that's what I'm focusing on this fight, being dangerous everywhere.
I wanted to talk about the last couple of fights because obviously you got the back-to-back Darce chokes. First of all, maybe you should take over the nickname of Tony Ferguson as the Darce Knight.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah. Well, I remember once in one of the fights, I don't remember what fight it was. I think it was the second time I did a Darce. I said, yeah, I'm the Darce guy. Whenever I hit it, that's it. And then they said, and a lot of fans were saying, you're not the Darce guy. The Darce guy is Tony Ferguson. Now, officially, I'm the Darce guy. I have the most Darces, so it's nice to have that title.
Well, I did want to ask about that because a lot of guys who I speak to, or a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners, they say the Darce choke is better for guys with a long reach because they can use the length of their arms to get the choke in. But you think you have about a 76-inch reach, so not kind of crazy big for the welterweight division. So what is so special about your Darce that means you can get it with so many people?
I don't know. I think it's just the speed I lock it. I'm able to see it in many different positions. So usually guys will try it only maybe from like half guard or whenever the guy is like north-south position and try to like go for a transition and hit the Darce. I do it from many different situations, and I see it many times. And once it's locked, I know how to work kind of like in different possibilities of defenses. I know what the guy's going to do, and I have adjustments for that. So it's something that I've been doing for a long time. It's the first submission that I really enjoyed, and I started training this when I was maybe 17. And my first Darce, I think in an MMA fight, I probably was like 18 or 19, something like that. So it's something that I've been doing for a long time. So I just know how it works, what to adjust, and where to put the pressure. And I think it's really good for me because I do a lot of sprawls and trying to defend takedowns. And guys are trying to take me down. They are working their head near my arm. So it's right there. It's a really good, I always tell all strikers, you want a really good submission, Darce and Anaconda. That's the best submission for strikers because it's favorable whenever you're defending takedowns.
Yeah. I believe, if memory serves, you obtained your black belt in jiu-jitsu and lucha livre last year. Is that correct? And if so, what?
Yes, after Chiesa.
Was that? I presume that was a very proud moment for you. What was the feeling like of becoming black belt in both disciplines?
Yeah, I mean, it was really special because I didn't expect it. For many reasons. I mean, jiu-jitsu, I've been training since I'm 16 years old. But my jiu-jitsu sensei, he's really strict. And he always told me, like, I know that you have black belt level, but you're not going to get a black belt until you train a whole year of gi nonstop. So I told him, okay, so only after I retire, because now I train mostly, no gi. And lucha libre, I've been training for a while, but I haven't trained as long as I trained jiu-jitsu, so I didn't expect to get a black belt either. And it ended up, that both of them together, they train with each other as well, and they talk to each other and said, yeah, I think that Vicente right now, he's looking good. He does deserve, he has been putting on the work on grappling, so he deserves the black belt. And I got them both in the same day. That was crazy. I mean, I was super emotional with that. That was a big moment for me because, like, I didn't get into fighting, at least me, to become a black belt. I got into fighting and to martial arts to fight MMA, to be a UFC champion one day. So I never looked at the black belt, you know, as something that I wanted. But get it is like recognition, you know, for all the hard work. So it was really special.
You mentioned there about being a UFC champion, and we're right there now, aren't we? Number 4 versus number 5. How this is obviously the biggest fight of your career, kind of critically, because you're so near to the world title. But how big is this fight, and do you think this is a title eliminator, or do you think it depends on what happens with Gilbert and Chimaev the week before?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a huge fight for me. I think not only because I'm so close, you know, I'm number 4 right now. I think a win over Belal will definitely move me forward and closer to that title fight. But it's a 5-rounder, so it's my first main event. I think that's a big deal too, because it's kind of preparing me for eventually going for a title fight, which is going to be a main event, which is going to be a 5-round fight, and get to prepare myself for that before it's actually a title fight. I think it's really good. Same thing, Belal has that grappling, wrestling kind of game, and it's what I see at the top. You know, Colby, Kamaru, Leon, they all can, you know, fight 5 rounds grappling and really kind of controlling fights. So I think that's also a great thing, you know, to get me ready for eventually fighting the title. And if it is or not a title eliminator, it's tough right now. I mean, the division is really on fire. We have a lot of fights. We have Gilbert and Chimaev. I truly believe Gilbert will beat Chimaev, but still, we cannot, you know, take that fight out of consideration. I think with the hype Chimaev has right now, if he by some chance beats Gilbert, he might jump in front of me. So in that case, I don't know. You know, first I gotta beat Belal, but maybe after that I have to have another fight. Will it be Chimaev, or will it be Colby, or will I go straight for the title? I don't know yet. I think that answers are gonna come, you know, after my fight and after Gilbert's fight.
We obviously look at Kamaru Usman's recent title defenses. He's had rematches against Masvidal and Covington. He's now up for a rematch against Leon Edwards. So with your fight against Belal Muhammad, that both yourself and Muhammad would be new tests for Usman. So does this fight weigh more heavily in the division, because ultimately it's a fresh matchup for the champ? Should he beat Leon in the summer?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And, you know, when I look at the division and I look at my style, I have no doubts that my style is the one that's going to put Kamaru in most danger. Not because I'm like, I don't see myself as the best fighter at anything, but I think I'm really aggressive, and I have an aggression that nobody in the division possesses. And that's something that's going to really complicate Kamaru, because many times guys just go in there and respect him, you know, and obviously he's a powerful guy. He has cardio for 5 rounds. He has a great grappling, great wrestling, and now obviously great boxing and heavy hands. But I'm not afraid of that. I'm actually like excited when I see a guy that can really put me in danger. That's the guy I want to face, and that's the guy I want to finish, because I don't want to win fights just by, you know, getting a decision. I want to decisively beat guys. And that's why I think that I'm the perfect matchup for Kamaru. Win or lose, I think it's going to be one of the best fights ever. And that's why I do look at this and say, man, there's no way I'm the guy to fight him, you know. And fans, if when they see our fight, they're going to understand why. So I don't know if it's going to be the next one. If I beat Belal, I don't know if I go straight for that. But I definitely think it would be the most interesting fight.
I know that you and Kamaru have obviously trained together, and I've seen a lot of interviews. I think we've talked about it before, about how you think you're the man to beat Usman. Do those training sessions have anything to do with it? How was the room when you and Kamaru faced off against each other?
I've talked about that before, and I'm not like a super guy that goes in training and beats everybody. That has never been my style. You know, I try to learn, I try to improve. And many times that means, you know, getting my ass beat. Because when I train with Kamaru, I want to make sure that I work the best over there that he can put in me, you know, and it is to grapple, it is to wrestle, it is to have that real, like the real fight, you know, feel whatever he can bring me and what I can bring to him. So we always had tough training sessions. I think I had some that I went best. I believe that he most of the times had the best of our sessions. But most of all, we learned a lot from each other. I'm sure that I, added some things to his striking tools, and I've helped him out for some fights. I've been in his corner, not actually in his corner, but on the dressing room, warming him up for fights. And he has been in my corner when I fought here in Brazil. So we have helped each other a lot, and we have learned from each other. And I think that definitely plays in the fight in both ways. We know not everything, but we know a lot of weaknesses that we have. We know our mentality. I know how strong he is tough mentally, and he knows how tough I am mentally as well. So I think all that will definitely play out in a fight between us. But I think it just makes it better because it's more of a, I don't know how to describe it, but it is friends that are going to fight, but it's competitive between us. We've always talked about that, and we never had a problem facing each other. We always knew it would be competitive, and it would be something that would be interesting to watch. So eventually it will happen, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
You mentioned there about you when you're in the training room, you want to learn as much as possible and gain as many skills as possible. And I would say you're one of, if not the hardest hitter at 170 in the UFC right now. So when you're sparring with guys, are you a hard sparrer, or are you someone who's going to maybe pull a little bit off your shots and be a little bit more technical? What is your sparring technique like?
I definitely I take off a lot of what I like, my power. And I many times I don't even know that I have that much power, because in training I don't drop guys. And because I don't think that's not gonna make me better. I'm trying to learn, like, if I'm against a great striker, I want to strike against that guy and feel like what he's good at, and what I can get from his skills, and how to get better. So I'm trying to always work really technical, but obviously, like, sometimes we find people that are just crazy. And if they go crazy, at the end of the day, I go crazy back. And I usually hit the guy as hard as he hits me. So I'll let him hit me first just to feel out how it's going to be. If he really wants to go at it, we'll go at it. But usually it's just really technical training. I try to, get the best out of every session.
As I mentioned earlier, that the first fight ended with a first round knockout, courtesy of your signature left hook. What are the odds that we see a repeat, a first round knockout via your left hook? What would you say the percentage chances of that reoccurring would be?
I don't know, man. I honestly, I would say that I don't think it's much. I think it's going to be a long fight, and I do believe I can finish him. I don't know if it's a knockout. I don't know if it's a submission, but I would say third, fourth, or maybe fifth, but like later rounds. Just because I think that, he's a really intelligent and strategical guy. He's going to study my game. I have now much more tape than I used to have when we fought the first time. So I do think that it's going to be a longer fight, just because he's going to have a really kind of like a game to avoid, getting into my striking range, getting into dangerous positions with me. But after, I can work a little bit, tire him out, then I believe I can finish him.
Do you want this fight to go a little bit longer? I know that you always hunt the submission. That's something that you are synonymous with in your career. But you mentioned there about potentially fighting Usman for the belt down the line. Would it be beneficial if this fight goes a little bit longer and you get them rounds under your belt?
Yeah, that's something I play sometimes with my coaches. I might tell them, like, I think I'm just going to fight, 5 rounds. Even if I see the opportunity, I'm going to go 5 rounds just to feel it. But then after that, I say, no way. If I get an opportunity to win before, I'm definitely not going to throw it away, because you never know. Maybe I throw it away, and then, Belal pulls something out and beats me. So better not take the risk. But yeah, I mean, if it goes 5 rounds, it definitely will be good practice for me. But it's not something that it's going to be because I let it go 5 rounds. If I see the opportunity, I will take it. I will try to submit him or knock him out before the 5 rounds. And if he can withstand it, if he can take my pressure, then it'll go 5 rounds, and it'll be what it'll be. But I'm going to be ready for all the 5.
I'd just very, very quickly like to get your opinion on something that's been on the news quite recently. The controversy between Covington and Masvidal. Masvidal assaulting Colby outside a restaurant in Miami. Where do you stand on that whole debate? Are you someone who looks at it and goes, Masvidal shouldn't have done that, or do you look at it and go, Colby shouldn't have said the things he said? Where do you stand?
Man, I don't know. I think I don't stand in the side of any of them. I really like what Nate Diaz said the other day in Twitter. You know, like these guys look like kids. And honestly, for me, that's what they look like because, man, we are in the fight business. We can do what we do inside the octagon. And if we get our ass beat, we can't do nothing about it. You know, that's what it is. And I don't think Colby should say the things he does. Definitely, I don't think so. But at the same time, he's a free man. He can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. And that doesn't mean that what he says means anything. You know, if he says that my family is whatever, that doesn't mean that my family is that. I know what my family is. I know who the people around me are. I don't need to go out there and defend them, you know, by beating this guy in the streets. At least that's not the way I believe. And I don't think that's honorable for who I am. So I cannot back any of them up for what they did. But definitely, like, I would love, like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, they find some other way, you know, have a rematch between them, go into a gym and just fight the two of them and solve it. You know, I think there are ways that we could do fighters, you know. If I have a problem with someone, I can go into the gym and say, hey, let's do this. Just me and you. Maybe we put a coach so he controls it. It doesn't go too far. And that's it. And then we could do things in an honorable and clean way. You know, two guys agree to it, and that's it. And we solve it, and it's done. Once one of them hits speed, that's it. Then he can't say anything about it.
Yeah, that is a problem. But we'll turn the conversation a little bit back towards your career. I won't ask you for a prediction because you've already alluded to a late finish. But what are the goals for 2022? What do you want to accomplish in the rest of this calendar year in your career?
So I'll be pushing for a title fight this year. You know, it's not something that depends only on me, but whatever is in my power for that, I'll do. So my first task is to beat Belal decisively, go out there and put on a great performance. After that, I'm going to stay ready. We have Kamaru and Leon fighting soon. I don't know when it's going to be, but maybe I could stay ready. Beating Belal, I could, you know, stay ready to maybe weigh in for that fight or be, you know, a substitute if it's the case. And if not, just let's see what's going to go after that. If I need another fight, I'll have another fight. And if any of those guys, whoever wins and has the title, is willing to fight in 22 again, I'll be ready for that.
Well, look, it's always a pleasure getting some time with you, Vicente, and it's great to see you back matched up next month. I can't wait to see you, and thank you for the time.
Thank you for your time as well, and I'm excited for the fight. Hopefully all the fans tune in and support me. I'm going to put on a great fight for sure.
The fans always support you, Vicente. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I think we talked the first time about you being the most exciting fighter in the UFC, and I think that 2021 certainly added to that with the two finishes.
Yes, for sure. I mean, that's what I do, and I have fun doing it. So that's what I'm going to keep on doing every time I'm in there.
Before we finish, Vicente, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with, or any sponsors you would like to shout out? The floor is yours for the last word.
I mean, just thank, you know, all the fans for the support, my teams, Sanford MMA and Serrato MMA that always have my back. You know, all the coaches, all the staff that helps me out a lot. And yeah, that's it. April 16th. Keep the eyes, you know, on the screen. I'm going to go in there and put on a big show.